a very exciting video for everyone involved because finally we have some graphics cards. Definitely taking it with a slight pinch of salt at the moment because I'm filming this a little bit pre-release, but hey, this is the Strix edition, and I'm a little bit nervous about reviewing this one because the Strix is always as this one is. I think it's going to have to get a lot right to truly be worth the extra money off. Let's get this thing unboxed though and actually have a look at this card. And while we're doing so, I think that can be customized your way. You've got this GeForce RTX logo that I don't really like how it floats, of course the cooling solution. So this thing is not only very big and heavy, you've got 3 fans along the front with one like this, it's going to absolutely crush it. It's overkill. I mean, everything about this card is overkill. I mean, you can see it takes up 3 slots for goodness sake. It is massive. Having said that, it does only have 2, obviously any ones you want, but those are the ones you're going to want to use. And then there is also this performance mode and throw some graphics cards and upset some people. There we go. I need 3 hands. That would be the solution to that problem. This is the ridiculously oversized Strix card versus the Founders Edition. But if you want a comparison with an equally massive card, here we have the... So I'm going to do a Supreme version of the 3060 Ti. It's definitely not needed, but I don't know, maybe this is a useful comparison for you. I reckon that... Look how big this thing is. It pretty much takes up the entire case. I mean, I like the look of it, but again, if you're realistically looking at the 3060 Ti, what makes it worth £500 exactly? If this card makes any noise whatsoever, I'm going to be livid. Here we go then, and once again, that's that lovely light bar doing its thing. I do like the overall look of it. I still think that the Supreme X looks slightly better along the top, but I mean, it's personal taste. There's certainly nothing wrong with this whatsoever. It looks super premium. It's a lot better than MSI's Gaming X with that sort of silly light bar as well. Overall, it looks great, and if you are going for it for its looks, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Let's start with what I believe to be the most impressive title really for the 3060 Ti, which is Forza Horizon 4. And right out of the box, there's not really anything here that screams £130 extra performance, to be honest, which is totally expected, but I mean, if you look at that clock speed there, it's what, 1965? Not really anything to make a substantial difference. Having said that, the frame rate that you can get from this graphics card is no less impressive at around about 100 to 110 frames a second. It's awesome, but you can get this for a much lower price tag. So out of the box, don't expect any £130 miracles. I'll tell you what is impressive though, and that's the temperature. I know this is ideal situation at the moment, open case, but 60 degrees. But that's too easy, that's too easy. Let's put the side panel on and test properly, shall we? Let's change games now to everybody's favourite, Fortnite, running 1440p but with DLSS. At the moment we're getting a massive frame rate of around about 160 frames a second, so if you want to play competitively, this is going to maximise pretty much most monitors really, unless you go for something seriously high-end. We just hit 200 frames a second there. This is one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of the Nvidia cards at the moment, just because they are so flexible. I mean, DLSS is definitely not in every game, but it can give you more performance, especially when you need it with things like ray tracing. But obviously the test was more about thermals, and yeah, this card actually is pretty much silent. All I can hear is the case fans. Here's a little noise test. But the question is whether it's that much better than the Founders Edition. And the answer is yes and no, because I can definitely notice a difference in this very controlled environment. It's silent, there's no game audio. But if you're actually going to use this graphics card for what it's meant for, which is gaming, and you've got a headset on, or obviously you're listening through speakers, then I don't think the difference is anywhere near enough to actually justify the extra money. And when you factor in the fact that that graphics card is so big, it should perform a whole lot better. I mean, don't forget that obviously the thermals are definitely a lot lower. I mean, 63 degrees. Again, that's impressive. But for the asking price, I mean, realistically, at this stage, surely you just get yourself a 3070, assuming you can find one. But what would benchmark Marcus say? Marcus? I don't know why he's over there. I mean, normally I stand here and do voiceover. Centric, I think you'll find I'm actually sitting down for this one, so you are wrong, my friend. And I've got to admit, I'm really disappointed here. The Founders Edition, maybe it is just too overpowered, but it performs pretty much neck and neck with the Strix. The Strix pulls ahead in a couple of games, but there's not really anything to report. The main thing really that you'll notice is that 3070 Founders Edition pretty much crushes the Strix in every single test. And remember, that card is cheaper than this one. It is absolutely crazy. My theory why the 3060 Ti Strix hasn't pulled ahead of the 3060 Ti Founders Edition, geez, that was a mouthful, is probably just because the cooling scenario that I've got here is pretty much, well, best case scenario, it is with a closed panel, but both cards can breathe, whereas if you're putting in a more stressful situation, then I would expect the Strix card to perform a lot better. But clearly here you can see, if you have that set up, you're not really going to see that much of a difference, and when you're paying well over £100, if not near £150 for the privilege, well, you tell me whether it's worth it. Did you enjoy your time with Benchmark Marcus? I know I did. But now it's time to hand you over to me, Overclock Centric. Here we have EVGA Precision X, and we're going to try overclocking the 3060 Ti to see if we can get a little bit more performance out of it. Power target, we'll whack up to 135. Let's try 140 this time, and then 50 megahertz extra on the memory. The real big missed opportunity with the Strix was not to put more memory inside the card, because as you can see here, for 4K it's just not really going to cut it in Watch Dogs Legion. It's trying to use 9 gig and there's only 8 available. So we're going to lower it down to 1440p. And to Ubisoft's credit, this is a really attractive game, and the benchmark is actually a really nice way of showing it off, because you get all of that fancy lighting and then the reflections showing off thanks to the RTX features. And it's definitely proving our point that the overclock seems fairly stable. Run complete! Let's go for some more. 180 megahertz. Oh no, we have crashed. Thoroughly expected, but no less disappointing. Let's try 155. It's boosted all the way back up to 2145 megahertz. So maybe in the previous test it tried to boost above that and that's when it crashed. Maybe this is our limit. But it does seem to get a little bit stuttery actually at the end of the benchmark, but it's been doing that consistently. Maybe that's just a Watch Dogs thing. Oh, that's why we got that stutter at the end, as even with the settings below 8 gigabytes, it still went over and tried to use 8.27. So this is a limitation of this card, but I'm glad that the overclock did manage to actually get there, I guess. Plus 160 is not bad. And remember that everyone's card is different. You may not be able to get this result, and this may not be stable. But regardless, in terms of overclocking, I think it does do a very good job. But it should come as absolutely no surprise for me to say that I cannot recommend that you buy this card unless you're really in the situation where you really love that design. All of the improvements that can be made by going for a bigger cooling solution just aren't really relevant. I mean, you could buy the Founders Edition 3070 for less money than this graphics card. So, you know, so realistically, why should you buy one? It's a shame, but in all honesty, I don't think Asus really should be selling this. I mean, it's great to have the option, but maybe they should have had a scaled down Strix version that would be a little bit cheaper and yet still give you, better performance. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know your thoughts down in that comment section below. Are you a die-hard Strix fan and will you be picking this up? Or do you agree with me in that it doesn't really make sense buying, to be honest? Let me know, I would love to hear from you. If you do want to check out current pricing, maybe you can find this in a sale. You can find it with my Amazon affiliate links listed down below. And of course, while you're down there, don't forget to check out HMA VPN. HMA can make your life easier and less painful. We've all been in that situation where we're traveling abroad and can't access our favorite apps, or we just want to browse privately without feeling tracked. HMA VPN have super fast servers in over 190 countries, so you can browse from almost anywhere in the world and stay safe and protected while doing so. Join HMA VPN and have no more regrets, with that link down below. Do get subscribed for more videos just like this. We've got plenty more cards to review, plenty more builds to do, and hopefully a whole lot more gaming as well. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.